Hello, Gerard. How are you?
I'm good. Have you got some? So I've been collecting stuff.
Yeah.
You've been getting stuff as well.
Oh, we love sightings. You know
We
that.
do.
We love overheard conversations. We love chance meetings and all of the above here on the Bell. But, and worth reminding our Bellas as well, Gerard, that you need to take these with just more than a grain of salt. Case in point.
There's a sport to this.
There's a theatre in this and a science behind it. Case in point, I received a direct message on Instagram from a person we will call E. Now, E wrote, working at a cafe, Bulldog staff frequent, and they're talking about how they want picks this year. They want to attack the draft. Artie Jones was a name thrown around, which is weird because he re-signed. Now, I'm sure, in fact, I am convinced none of that is true, but the messages and the emails we love.
We do.
Set the scene for us.
Whateley at sen.com.au. You can text 0433 98 11 16. We've got ourselves 2 days worth of material here, including I got the most wonderful, elaborate 12 club trade, which I'm going to save for tomorrow from Flynn, who put so much work into it. Salute to all those who play along.
All right.
The Essendon.
Let's get into this now on a serious front. An added layer of intrigue around the positioning on both sides of the aisle when it comes to Zach Merrett wanting to leave Essendon and how it's being played out. So Essendon's coordinated media offensive last week, Gerard. This was Brad Scott with you on 360, Craig Vozzo here on SEN, Dave Barham in a letter to members. But its most sensitive and significant portion was the public comments from Nick Martin in The Age and obviously Mason Redman on the AFL website. Now, Mason actually said, and he's quoted as saying, in part obviously, it's a feeling of disappointment that our captain, who is supposed to be leading us through this, is exploring other options. Pretty strong. But I can tell you this morning that Mason Redman's comments came after he was raised as a trade option at least one rival club as recently as in the last fortnight. So one club, at least, was approached by his management as part of a sounding out to gauge that club's interest. Now, my understanding is ultimately the interest isn't there, but Redman, like Merrett, is contracted. In fact, his deal has longer to run than Merrett's. It's through until the end of 2028. What I can't confirm with you, Gerard, is whether Redman was aware that the approach was made. That's important to note. I'm not saying that he was, but I can tell you that the approach was definitely made. Now, my last correspondence with Redman's manager, Ben Williams, was yesterday. Ben stated that Mason is committed to staying at Essendon. So there is a lot going on at the Bombers. A lot of it behind the scenes, but that's the latest when it comes to Zach Merrett and Essendon.
That's intriguing in its own right. So it's so ugly so early. This is the bit that shocks me and why I don't really have the stamina for through to the end of the trade period, because this is already such an ugly divorce.
Yeah, so this is now with, 4 weeks until the end of the trade period. So this is the fact that it, as you say, has become so public so early makes for a hard fought and a pretty long pitch battle here. So I reckon the ball would appear to be in Zach's court at the moment. He's yet to formally and publicly request a trade. He's kept his own counsel. But that would be the next play. And the Bombers are aware of the motivations of him seeking a move, though. They are what we reported last week in that statement from his manager, Tom Petroro, that he's craving success, he's closer to the end than the beginning, and while he likes the young talent on Essendon's list, he can't see it maturing quickly enough for him to have that success in his time. So, and that there are no relationship issues with the coach, Brad Scott, we are told categoric. So Essendon have those reasons. They're at their fingertips. At the moment, they're digging in, and we've got a month, as we say, until the trade period even comes to an end. And we've got a situation where this is function season. Zach Merrett is due at a number of functions and events over the course of the next 3 to 4 weeks, not just the best and fairest and not just the Brownlow, but a number of captaincy functions with Essendon greats, various other charity causes and the like as soon as this Sunday. So he's going to have to front up, and it's going to be interesting to see how he navigates it with, as you say, so long to go.
There are 3 big pieces on the board, aren't there? As you've got an Essendon captain and 5-time, soon-to-be 6-time best and fairest. You've got a 2-time Coleman medalist, and you've got a Norm Smith medalist. All in various states of what is going on.
Yeah.
Charlie Curnow, Christian Petrarca.
Yeah, so Merrett and Curnow are desperate, and I'm using the word desperate deliberately here to get out of their clubs. And Christian Petrarca is again warming to the same approach as you mentioned. So Merrett's got 2 years to run, wants Hawthorn. Curnow's got 4 years to run, wants Gold Coast, Geelong or Sydney. And Petrarca has 4 years to run on his contract. I guess the balance of power conversation I want to have with you and the listeners between players and clubs, the former definitely has it at the moment, don't they? So I've always thought it somewhat strange, Gerard, that we make 18-year-olds go anywhere in the country via the national draft, yet as adults, it's a case of, we can't send that guy interstate or to that club when he wants to go to this club. So trading players without consent, clearly something the AFL have been open to and exploring for some time. They've raised it in CBA discussions down the years. The AFLPA are strong on, well, in the current climate, no chance, no way. But in a give and take world, they would discuss it. We've got a player movement world now whereby players sign these long-term deals, Gerard, and many of them front-ended too, and then turn around halfway through and say, nah, I want out. So this tests the resolve of clubs, and while few have been made to stay, generally that resolve is broken and they feel they have to trade a player who just doesn't want to be there. So I think as we sit here now, it's likely that Curnow and Petrarca in particular and Merritt won't be at their clubs next year. On the flip side, we've had clubs force contracted players to leave, salary dump style. Now, that has happened. It's nowhere near as common as the player wanting to break that contract. So I just wonder, should a trigger be in? Any deal longer than 5 years, you can be traded without consent. Or the average wage by 27 will be around $520K. Let's say if you're earning above the AFL average, you can be traded where a club wants. So it's a two-way street. Both parties guilty of shafting the other, but clubs have long been unable to trade players to the highest bidder, and I reckon that's the killer. That's what makes it hard. That was Bailey Smith last year at Geelong. Dogs would have loved to have traded him somewhere for a more appropriate price. They couldn't.
We're still in the early stages of what player movement's going to look like. We have a very naive version of it, and I do think it skews things.
Yeah.
So Simon Thomas Wilson has posted to the Adelaide Advertiser that Adelaide Crows to make trade play for Christian Petrarca.
Yeah, they're definitely one or two midfielders short, aren't they? Now, Clayton Oliver has been linked to the Crows over time. We reported yesterday that he is remains committed, recommitted, whatever terminology you want to use, to Stephen King and to Melbourne. He's a Melbourne person. His manager, Nick Geeshan, told me yesterday. So Clayton Oliver, I think we take them at their word. We'll put a line through him. Christian Petrarca, as we said off the top, a man who is again flirting with the idea of leaving Melbourne. It's not quite the nuclear scenario we saw this time last year. There's been a lot of turnover, of course, in the upper echelons of that football club that have gone some way to appeasing him. But if Melbourne came with a good offer, you'd think Melbourne would be tempted to do the deal 12 months on. And there's a club who held a player against his will. Did we see the best of him? He finished high up in the best and fairest. I think we look at Christian Petrarca and think he's so much more than what he was this year, and Adelaide hope to realise that.
I would take Petrarca ahead of Merritt if I had the two against the wall.
At Hawthorn?
Yep, anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
In my pecking order.
Why is that?
I think Petrarca has been run down in a way that I don't really understand.
Yeah.
He won Melbourne's polling at the Brownlow Medal, having had his season wiped out at the King's birthday last year, and he just ran second in the best and fairest behind only Max Gawn. And I think it was pretty reasonable to think that the year after such a severe injury wouldn't be the best. And yet it's been pretty good. And I think his scope remains enormous.
And they're the same age, sorry. They're both 29.
Yeah. So just a like for like. Same contract, same money, same age. If I was choosing for my club, I would pick Petrarca.
Interesting. I think you'd take either if you're Adelaide, to be honest. No, I would expect Adelaide to have picked up the phone. They would have had to have picked up the phone as a call to Zach Merritt. Would he be interested in moving interstate? I'm sure he's got his heart set on Hawthorn, but you'd have to pick up the phone and ask the question. I'm sure there's a lot of text, Gerard. Just quickly, Brodie Mychek, I know it was reported yesterday that Melbourne are interested. They have been for some time. Collingwood have got that 2-year offer in front of him still. As we discussed last week, it's a 3-year offer from North Melbourne. So there's a number of clubs at the table for Brodie Mychek, who's playing very sore at the moment. I think he's needing some medical assistance to get up by the week at the moment, Brodie Mychek, but still unsigned at Collingwood, as Jamie Elliott is as well. I know we had a couple of texts on him earlier.
So this is the one that has my head spinning. What if Mychek and Elliott both leave at the end of the year? Where does that leave Collingwood's forward?
No, well, that is not.
So they would have to be in the market aggressively if they were to lose those two.
Well, they're already in the market for, I don't know how aggressive it is, but Jack Buller up at Sydney. There are irons, but not the top tier of player.
No, that's not it.
Not the top tier of player. They've been linked to Ben King over time, but he's going nowhere clearly. So I think that scenario is not palatable at all for Collingwood. They would love Jamie Elliott to stay, but Jamie, for whatever reason, hasn't signed a 2-year contract on the table. He's holding out for more. We've discussed this. Is he interested in Gold Coast, or is he only interested in Gold Coast because he can't get the deal done at Collingwood? But they're at that delicate stage, aren't they, Collingwood? They want these elder statesmen to stay, but they don't want to overcommit. They don't want to overpay. The end can come quick. But at the same time, Jamie Elliott, hang on, Pendles is 37.
Yeah.
Still side bottoms 35 or 6, you know.
So, I mean, I saved most of these for tomorrow, the correspondence. Okay. So send them all through, 0433 98 11 16.
Let's get to them tomorrow.
But I do want to leave you with this one to think about. Take it to the bank, Sam. Wilkie will be a Bulldog next season after his wife let slip on a group chat that the offer was too good to refuse.
Group chat's a new one.
Group chats.
All right, so Mrs. Wilkie has let slip on the group chat. Hey, we got to take this one, guys. Cal and I are off to the kennel.
So good.
Geez, wouldn't the dogs love that?
I love it.
Let's visit that. Let's visit that tomorrow, I reckon.